approve the amended agenda that was before each of you.
So, second.
So moved by Michael, seconded by Tim. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So we'll move to public comments, or anyone that has public comments. I'd just like to make a statement that with my election came baggage. This is part of that. Could you please state your name?
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Smith, and I want to get rid of plastic straws and utensils in St. Albans, Vermont. I think we should do this because we would be helping our planet and animals. I think we should get rid of plastic straws and utensils because they were one of the top 10 items found when doing beach cleanups. Straws are too small to be recycled, which means they end up in the trash. We could use some different alternatives. Instead of plastic straws and utensils, we could use metal, paper, compostable, or bamboo. There are also utensils that you can eat when you're done or put them in the compost and they will dissolve in 2 to 3 days. My petition. As you may already know, I have recently written a petition in class. We were learning about government in class, and my teacher decided we should make our own petition. I decided I wanted to help my planet, animals, and humanity. I got to work writing my petition. I went around the school asking for signatures, and that is why I'm here. So far, I have 218. I'm not sure if that is enough, but hopefully it is. What can we do? We can help. It is not that hard. If we help, there will be less animals dying every year. The problem is that plastic is taking over our planet. Millions of tons of plastic go into the ocean every year, killing millions of animals. The solution. We can help by getting rid of straws in St. Albans, Vermont. Getting rid of straws will benefit us in so many ways. We will be a healthier community. We will have a part in getting rid of the straws, and we will be saving innocent lives. We can help, so why shouldn't we? And then there's a video, but we do not have time to watch it.
Are you sure, Mr. Mayor?
Do you want to watch the video?
I'm going to let Chad tell you yes or no.
Yeah, that's fine. How long's the video?
I second
5
that.
minutes.
5 minutes? I think we get there.
I think we should watch it.
I think we can spend
5
minutes.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw my timing off.
Hi, my name's Molly Steve, and I'm 9 years old, and I've just found out that straws really do suck. Earlier this year, my mum and I went to see a movie called Plastic Ocean. It was the first time that I had been told that plastic never, ever breaks down. Like, actually never goes away. The movie said that all over the world, oceans are filling up with our plastic rubbish. This plastic gets into our oceans and hurts the marine animals. But not only that, when humans eat fish and seafood, we are eating the plastic that they have eaten. Birds are eating broken up bits of plastic and then starving because there is no room in their stomachs for real food. Turtles think that plastic bags are jellyfish, which is their favourite food. And we've all seen that plastic straw stuck up a poor turtle's nose. It's not fair. On my way home from watching the movie that night, I started thinking about what I could do to help. I started thinking about plastic straws. They seem kind of harmless, don't they? But did you know, every day, humans use more than 500 million straws. If you line these up end to end, they'll wrap around planet Earth 4 times, every single day. I thought about how we only use these plastic straws for a few minutes before we throw them in the bin. And what about the drinks that come with more than one straw? It's crazy. The problem is, they don't always go in the bin. They often end up in the stormwater drains and go to the ocean. And even if the straws do make it to the bin, what then? What do you think happens to them once we throw them in the bin? As I said before, plastic can't break down, so it can't actually ever go away. You see, when my mum tells me to put my clothes away, I know where they go. They've got a place to go. But with plastic, there is no away. Did you know that the very first plastic straw you ever used is still somewhere on this planet? Somewhere. It will never break down and it will never go away. And even if my friends knew about all this plastic, they would want to help the ocean too. After all, we live in Cairns, and the Great Barrier Reef is our backyard. It's our playground. I wanted to help the Great Barrier Reef, so I decided to try and get plastic straws out of canteens of local schools. And of course, the first school to start with was my own school. I felt really happy that all the teachers at my school were so supportive of my idea and keen to help protect our environment. They were the first school to join in with the Straw No More project. I then started talking to other people about my idea, including the newspaper, TV, and radio stations. Because of this, other schools from around Cairns heard about it and said they wanted to join in too. Soon, we had messages from people in South Korea, New Zealand, England, and America, as well as some other states in Australia, who wanted their schools to join in with the Straw No More project. Now I know there are some people with limited movement of their arms, people in wheelchairs for example, and I understand those people really rely on straws. They need to use straws. But most of us don't. Living straw-free is actually really simple. All you need to do is make the decision to stop. Simple. And if you must use straws, you can make sure it's a reusable straw. Bamboo, stainless steel, glass and paper straws are a much better alternative than plastic straws. Or of course, you could just say no to straws altogether. When you buy a drink at a takeaway shop or a cafe, or a bar if you're a grown-up, specifically ask for no plastic straws and tell that staff member why. Ask them to join in with the Straw No More project as a way of showing their customers they care about our planet. Currently 16 schools have agreed to take the Straw No More project, which is about 10,000 kids not using plastic straws in their drinks at school every day. If each one of these kids was previously using just one straw a day, that means a total of 3 million less straws are going into our environment near the Great Barrier Reef each year. But my job isn't done yet. I'm going to keep going until plastic straws are out of every school in Cairns, in Queensland, in Australia, and maybe one day in the world. My name is Molly Steer and I hope you'll agree that straws really do suck.
So, she's 9 years old and she's trying to get rid of straws. The movie she mentioned, my teacher showed that to me, and it kind of gave me the idea. So, it was really sad. There were animals dying everywhere. And then I watched another video that went viral in 2015, and it was a video of a turtle with a straw up its nose. And the marine people were trying to pull it out, and it got a bloody nose, which is not normal for turtles, and it was very sad. So, strategy, as I've mentioned, we don't have to fully get rid of straws because some people need them. What we can do is find a different alternative. There's compostable, metal, etc. One Fed or the Old Foundry have already taken a stand and are now using paper straws. The benefits. As I have already mentioned, this project will benefit us in so many ways. We will be helping our little animal friends who may only have days left because of us using plastic straws. Straws won't pick up everything, but it's a start. We are going to be part of a movement in our tiny little city. We will grow bigger and bigger like a vine climbing up a wall. It starts out small, but eventually the wall is covered with vines and we can be one. Movements. Seattle being the largest city to ban straws in California. McDonald's is starting to switch over to paper straws. Starbucks is getting rid of all their plastic containers by 2020. Restaurants everywhere are getting rid of straws or switching over to different alternatives. And that's not all. Movements are happening everywhere. What have I done? Well, for starters, I wrote this petition and got signatures. But that's not all. I also made stickers on the vinyl cutter at school by myself, and you will each receive one after my presentation. And I made my own website without any help. I also did a webinar and talked all about how I'm trying to get rid of straws in St. Albans, Vermont. At the bottom is a link to my website for after. Here are some common questions and answers. How does plastic affect us? Well, when we dispose of plastic, it breaks down into microplastics and fish eat them, and then we eat that fish. Why do marine life eat plastic? Marine life eat plastic because they think it's food, but it really isn't. What are microplastics? Microplastics are made up of bigger plastics that have dissolved into the water into smaller plastic, which make it easier for seabirds and fish to eat. How come more people aren't helping? More people aren't helping because they're not aware of the problem. Thank you for letting me present. I hope you decide to get rid of plastic straws and utensils.
Thank you for coming in, Ms. Smith. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Because of the length of your presentation, I probably won't be home to put you to bed. But you want to present your petitions as well at the same time?
I have a lot.
So, Ms. Smith, what has City School done? Is City School taking leadership
City-
role in eliminating straws?
City School has already gotten rid of straws a couple of years before. Teachers are teaching their kids about it, and in math class, some kids are doing addition problems about figuring out how many plastic goes into the year each year, or estimating it. We're trying to switch over from using the milk jugs to using a machine that can put milk in glass jars or glass cups. And we have not used plastic utensils. We've been using trays and washable ones.
I definitely want to thank, I know there's a couple others here from City School also, so I want to thank you all. I know you guys are all role models in the community. It gives me hope for the future that you guys are doing this, and not only this, but that you push for plastic bags and plastic cups. And Alderwoman Lattison has a reusable metal container for her water, so more of that, less of Mr. Pelkey's water. So good luck. I fully support you guys, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Thank you.
Stop using these.
So we will discuss this prior to our next meeting, and we will let you know what we will do. But we want to thank you all for coming in and your support team, and thought you did a wonderful job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Preferably without a presentation.
Yeah, seriously.
Nice job, Mackenzie. Jeff, what was that? I'm sorry. You want to step up?
No presentation. I'm sure you would rather that I don't. My name is Jeff Bean. I'm property owner here in the city. And as a continuation of my issues that I presented last month, I'm sort of curious if the city council or the administration has made any progress reaching out to the railroad pertaining to the excessive noise level. Saturday, I suspect it was 79.5 sustained decibels in the driveway all day long, and even right now it's at 76 to 77 decibels. Inside of the house was registering 65 decibels all day long. I'm not certain what can come out of this, but I really am hoping that something positive comes out soon, because this is definitely adversely affecting both my life and my health. I don't know why no other people in the neighborhood are coming down, but it's just excessive. And I'm sort of curious what, I know the mayor graciously came down on Wednesday night under very bad road conditions. I guess it was Wednesday night, time's flying by. But I believe that you witnessed it was pretty loud at that time, and it hasn't gone away. It's remained that way day and night. I'm sort of curious where we're at with this.
So Jeff, I'd have to say I haven't had a chance to catch Dominic on this, to have the discussion. Chad and I had both been down. We witnessed, it took a few times for me to get down there, but I did, last Wednesday it was evident of the vibration and the rumbling, if you will. So we will continue that conversation. We can talk after the meeting. Marie did get us a contact, but as I shared with you, I wanted to make sure I knew what it was before I made the call. So I've had a recent discussion about the location of where the engines are, and maybe there's another location that's going to be better for the residents of the city. So that's where we'll focus our conversation on. So
Thank you.
I don't know, Chad, do you want to add anything? So, is there any other public comment at this time? Seeing none, we move into item number 4, which is to consider a motion to approve resolutions and annual filings regarding a number of different items. So Chip, if you want to step forward.
Thank you. We're hoping to present these as a consent slate. Each item in the packet, I believe, most have memos that explain them. One that does not is the certificate. Every year, a municipality must certify whether or not there are any appeals or suits associated with the grand list you lodged the year before. So this would be for the April 1st, 2018 grand list. And we can certify that there are no appeals or suits of that grand list that are currently underway. So staff recommends that the city council can sign that. Actually, yes, everything else has a memo accompanying it. The only item that doesn't need signatures is the TIF report. We're only required to present that to you. You do not need to approve it.
So we would acknowledge that we did receive the TIF report. Thank you for that. Anyone have any questions of TIF on any of these?
Make a motion to approve item B, ECDP resolution for grant agreement for Alden Glossop Schoolhouse.
Second.
Second by Jim. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So moved. Move to item C.
Motion to approve the resolution to apply to downtown transportation fund for Kenyon Street.
Second.
Motion by Tim, seconded by Jim. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes.
Make a motion to approve the certificate of no appeals for suits pending for 218 grant list.
Second.
Motion by Tim for certificate of no appeals, seconded by Jim. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion for certification of highway mileage.
Motion for certification, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jim. Any further comments?
Marty, were there any additions or subtractions this past year? I know the last couple of years we've had a couple small additions.
I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. A little louder on that one.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Sorry.
Motion passes. Chip, would you have anything else to share under that item?
Not under this item. 4 things going around the sign now.
Chip, we started them over here.
Oh, sorry.
That way they end up with Kristen.
Remember that?
Yeah, grab this.
Fabulous.
You steal it back.
Take it back.
Take it all
Good.
back.
Yep.
There we go.
I don't know, we already started.
Yeah, we got them more. We got. They're half
We
done.
got it covered.
So,
Yeah,
Oh, I thought I had the original.
okay.
I think you did. I think you're using somebody's copy.
yeah, we're using copies.
We'll take a look at everything before everyone leaves. Make sure we're all set.
Okay, Chip, we're moving on to item number 5, which is first reading of amendments to land development regulations.
We have a proposal that the Planning Commission has drafted to allow for some special types of residential situations or residential services that aren't directly addressed in our current land development regulations. And it also includes a clarification of the zoning district boundaries for a particular vacant lot. Basically, what we discovered is that we had a rule about where nursing homes are allowed in the city, but there was no definition of what a nursing home actually was in our land development regulations. Typically, uses are defined in the regs. There was nothing about assisted living or other forms of what could be called senior housing. And the term congregate housing, which is often used for more simpler situations where it's some sort of communal or shared housing environment, it was also sort of being defined as something that could include special services, but seemed like more of a Frankenstein situation to the Planning Commission. So they tasked staff with coming up with definitions for certain special residential situations that matched the licensing authority that the state has over residential care facilities, nursing homes, and assisted living. So if you look in the proposed amendments in section 202, defined terms, you'll find a new definition for assisted living facility. You'll find that we make sure that these special definitions cannot be commingled with the definition of community house, so they're specifically excluded from our existing definition of community house. We changed congregate housing, so it is really just reflective of more communal living situations. We clarify our definition of residential care home and expand it to include the state's definition. We include a definition of nursing home. Then in section 304, in that tabular piece of the amendments, we allow these uses to be in certain districts of the city based on where, for instance, nursing homes already had allowances. We linked residential care to be allowed in the same districts as nursing homes. Assisted living facilities in a few more. They're allowed in the business neighborhood transition, business 1, business 2, and medical institution district. And congregate housing is largely unchanged, except it's now allowed in the business 1 district under the same rules that other residential situations are. And that's the special section 304B, and you'll see where the congregate housing and assisted living facilities are added into that section. This is a change for other residential situations that we passed about 6 months ago. And then that district boundary change, you'll see on the colored map. Basically, we have a vacant lot. It's one of the most significant, if not the only really substantial vacant lot on Federal Street. But it's split by district boundaries, which is something of a cloud on the redevelopment of that site. And the Planning Commission would like to just extend the Business 1 district to the entire lot. It's actually made up of 3 separate parcels. That's part of why it was complicated. But this would, in one fell swoop, put all 3 parcels into Business 1, which maximizes the redevelopment potential of that lot. The current property owner has been notified, and no objections were given. And also the mailings went out to neighboring property owners. No objections were given. So the Planning Commission approved these changes and submitted them to the City Council.
Chip, one question. Is King's Daughters going to be okay with these new regs?
King's Daughters is technically a residential care home, and it is already grandfathered, as has been stated in previous hearings dealing with the property. So this change really does not change the fact that King's Daughters is already grandfathered.
Okay.
Same with Redstone?
Yes. We were sensitive to that. I looked into it to make sure that we weren't suddenly grandfathering someone without them knowing about it, and those two uses are already grandfathered.
Any other questions for Chip? Jim, you all set? Kate, you good?
Good.
You good? So entertain a motion. Oh, no, this is this first reading.
Yeah.
So,
No, item 6 is to accept first reading.
Oh,
Yeah, well, I'd make a motion to accept the first reading of the land development amendments as proposed by Chip Sawyer.
Second.
Second by Michael. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Chip, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Will we be seeing you later, or is that it for you? Is that it for you, Chip?
I'll be around at the DRB appointment. If there are any questions, I'll be here.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to item number 7, which is dog hearing regarding incidents on Fairfield Street. We're starting to get pretty good at these, I think. We'll start out with the police presentation, followed by the owner presentation, and then public comment. We usually discuss these at a later date and submit findings. So Ben, will you be officer? Come on up. Just for the public part, we will be limiting comments when we get to that point. We want everyone to have a chance to speak, but we will limit the length of the comments. So council, you did receive information by email regarding the incident on Fairfield Street, so I will turn it over to you, Officer Kuchar.
Good evening. On December 22nd, around noon, the St. Albans Police Department responded to 55 Fairfield Street for a complaint of 3 pit bulls that attacked another dog. Officers arrived on scene, spoke with the complainant, identified as Philip Caton Sr. The officer reported that Caton's dog was attacked by 3 pit bulls owned by Brian Ross. Caton stated that his dog had injuries and would be taking the dog to the vet. The officer spoke with Ross that advised someone had left the door open and the pit bulls ended up getting out. ACO Jim Benson was able to obtain a sworn written statement from Caton on January 7th. And in that statement it says, on the said date and time, I was visiting my friends at 55 Fairfield Street, walking my dogs out, when 3 pit bulls, black and white, attacked my dog, Lola and Pickles. Pickles got hurt on the left hind quarters and was bleeding. Lola got hurt much worse for the broken leg, bleeding from the neck, cheek, mandible, belly, and both hind quarters. I took both dogs home, cleaned them up. Pickles was okay, but Lola had a puppy on Christmas Day, and the day after Christmas, she still could not walk, so we ended up taking her to the vet, where they gave her medicine and x-rays and an IV. Unfortunately, the dog had to be put down. The owner's name of the dogs that did the attacking was Brian, that he knew, that lived on Lincoln Avenue in St. Albans. He tried to pull the dogs off from his, and actually some witness came forward and helped him out at one point in time. And he described the incident as the pit bull had Lola, and it was kind of like a tug of war. When the vet x-rayed Lola, she had learned that there were still 2 more puppies in her womb. ACO Benson was able to obtain a statement from one of the witnesses. I'm not going to identify the witness's name, which states, early in the afternoon Saturday before Christmas, I was dropping off gifts. I could hear dogs screaming and yelping. I looked out the window to see a man with 2 small dogs fighting off 3 other dogs. I put my boots on and ran out. The dogs had no collars or tags, so it was hard to get them off. Once they pulled them off, they would fly back, I'm assuming in the direction of the dogs. At one point in time, a young man who was helping them also told them to grab him by the scruff of the neck. She was able to grab him and hold on tight as she could. They felt that the remaining dog on the ground had too many injuries to even be alive. They were there to get both small dogs out to the owners. The owners of the pit bull did not surface until he had ran back into the house to get a coat and I guess his phone. He started screaming at him. He was pointing and screaming and telling him to basically put the phone down, and that he was calling the police. He screamed and was flipping off the witness in this case, also grabbing certain areas of his body. He started threatening the owner of the small dogs when he came over to thank the witness for assisting. One of the pit bulls got loose, ran towards the witness. The owner of the pit bull was prancing around saying that they were just babies. The witness disregarded them, stayed on the phone with police, and the witness thought that if the pit bulls were a little bit older, the situation probably could have been much worse. In the witness's own words, they thought that they were very focused on shredding the small dogs. Attached on the report is the x-ray of Lola, and you can see, it's hard to see the fractured leg in the x-ray, but you can see the two stillborn pups still inside the room. Lola is a 7-year-old female, black, white Shih Tzu canine, which weighs about 14 pounds. The owner is identified as Angela Caton of St. Albans. On January 8th, ACO Benson and Sergeant McCarty met with Brian Ross and identified them that they were investigating the 3 football attacks on reference to Caton's 2 dogs. During the conversation of it, basically, Mr. Ross advised that he already spoke to another officer in reference to this incident. Let's see. ECO Benson met with Ross, also took pictures of the dogs, the mother pit bull, 2 young puppies. All 3 were approximately 70 pounds. The dogs did not have tags or licenses for the city of St. Albans. ACO Benson filled out a statement and issued Mr. Ross several municipal ordinance tickets, vicious pets, running at large, and unlicensed dogs. So there was 2 tickets issued for licensed dogs, 3 tickets issued for dogs at large, and then 3 animal attack tickets. Previous that year, on the 20th of July, we ended up receiving another complaint from concerned citizen who wanted to not identify themselves to law enforcement in fear for retaliation, which basically she ended up stating that they witnessed a small dog that was owned by another woman who they did not also want to provide a name for, also get attacked by these pit bulls that were owned by Mr. Ross. Mr. Ross did, Animal Control Officer Benson did go to and speak with Ross in reference to this incident, and he advised that the mother dog had just had the puppies and he's in the process of getting rid of some of the dogs. On July 23rd, there was another complaint that was filed in reference to an incident that occurred on the 19th about Mr. Ross's dogs attacking another dog. And this time the dog that was attacked was on a leash, and the neighbor's dog, the victim's dog in this, actually received 23 stitches from the bite. Unfortunately, I was unable to get photographs of that. I guess the photographs showed a tearing of the skin around the dog's neck. She reported it today because she was in fear that of retaliation in reference to Ross. ACO Benson also issued animal control tickets in reference to that for an animal attack and dog at large and unleashed. Paragraph 6 shows the photograph of one dog owned by Mr. Ross, also dog number 2 and then dog number 3. We recommend that all 3 dogs have chain or cable leash whenever the dogs are outside, and or muzzle possibly. To have all 3 dogs properly vaccinated and to be registered within St. Albans. And if there are any more incidents, to have another hearing in front of the city council to decide the fate of the dogs. This situation is kind of unique as to Lola was attacked by these dogs. She was pregnant at the time. The incident occurred on the 22nd. I believe Lola ended up going to the vet on the 27th. So there was some time in between from the attack to when the dog actually went to the vet. The dog did give birth to at least 1 puppy. Unfortunately, there was 2 other puppies that were still inside the dog that was unable to birth, and they were still. And the vet's opinion in this was that the dog was more likely septic due to the fetuses inside the dog.
Thank you very much. Mr. Benson, do you have anything to share regarding that?
No.
Thank you. Do we have Mr. Ross here?
Mr. Ross was served today at 12:30. We tried numerous times to get a hold of him, but today we were able to serve him at 12:30.
You did, sir.
Yes, he was served.
Is there anyone who would like to make public comment on this? No? Okay.
So I have a couple questions, Mr. Mayor. So the recommendations, Officer Kuchar, is to have all 3 dogs on a chain or a leash whenever the dogs are outside. So that's basically have them under their control, right?
Correct.
And have all 3 dogs properly vaccinated and registered with the city of St. Albans?
Correct.
Are those recommended for anyone that has dogs?
They are recommended, yes.
Yeah. So if those are recommendations for me also if I have 2 dogs? So even though my dogs haven't done anything, I should be following those rules also?
If they're outside, you have to run around.
Shouldn't they be licensed regardless if they're in the city and vaccinated?
Then, do we know if the dogs have been licensed yet?
I don't believe so.
And do we know if there was any effort to reimburse the other dog owners for vet bills?
I'm not sure what the charges were for the other vet bills.
I have a vet bill currently.
This is regarding the July 20th incident?
December 22nd.
What's your name, sir?
Philip Caton Sr.
Philip, what's your last name?
Caton?
Caton? And what did you just get, the mayor?
This is a bill from Tannenberger in the amount of $619. So there was no effort to reimburse you for those costs? No discussions, no? Okay. Do you folks want to share anything else? We're sorry for the situation for sure, but
Missed the dog.
I personally feel like he shouldn't have the animals any longer. It's happened more than once, and like the officer even said, if they were puppies, it could have been much worse. So who's to say when they get older, it's not going to happen again?
So Officer Benson, is this 2 different incidences or 3 different incidences?
So you had the incident when we first were called to in reference to the dogs being born.
Yep.
And then there was an incident sometime in July where there was another, the
Okay.
first dog attack. And
So
then
the
this
July
week is-
20th and the July 23rd, that's one incident?
That's one incident.
Okay, and then the December 22nd one is the second
Second
incident.
incident, correct.
So we have someone who said on July 20th or whatever that they were going to get their dogs registered, and it doesn't appear that they did.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Is Suzanne Director here? No. Okay. All right, we will we'll convene and make a decision on this, and we will notify Mr. Caton as well, right, Alan, with what is, so you'll be notified as to what the decision is. You'll receive a copy. Do we have your mailing address?
Oh,
Is it on the bill?
You still at 2041 Sheldon Road?
Yes. That's the Angel.
You want to just give me,
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
send
that's
it.
fine.
send it there, and that's a mailing address?
Yes.
Okay, we will address this and make a decision and get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, we appreciate taking the time. And then we had another incident on, regarding a hearing that we had a couple months ago regarding an incident on Bank Street where we issued a decision, and from all indications, it sounds like nothing has happened with that.
Yeah, I have a statement prepared if I could be allowed to.
Let me just check, I'm going to bring Officer Kuchar ahead first, and then we'll follow up with you as well. Thank you all for coming in.
I don't know which one this is. You're going to have to remind me which one this is.
This one is the one on Bank Street.
Is this the one where we told them that they had to put a gate or something on their porch?
No, this is 55 Bank Street, the apartment building.
Move out of
Oh,
the
out of the
apartment.
city.
Had 30 days to move the dog out.
Yep, I remember. Yep, I remember now. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, both owners have been issued the paperwork for the hearing for tonight. I believe ACO Benson, I'll let him talk in reference to, you spoke to them earlier.
Yeah, I went to Miss Kane's apartment this morning, and Benson was not there anymore. She said that she couldn't get rid of him right off because of financial troubles of, moving to a new place, but it was her intention to get the dog out of the city.
So as of today, it looks like that the dog may have been moved outside the city. In reference to the violations that I typed up here, if we could still move forward with at least the seizure of the dog, so if the dog does come back to St. Albans, it would be something that we can act on instead of having to wait a certain amount of time to have another hearing to decide the fate of the animal. This dog, I'll go through it real quick, is it all stems from an incident that occurred on December 10th, where one individual was bit, I believe on the leg, and we heard testimony from the landlord, also another neighbor inside that apartment building, along with, I don't know if actually the victim of that case actually showed up or not, but so we heard in reference to that, and it appears that this is an ongoing situation with this dog, where if someone pulls into the yard, the dog will go towards them, start barking and biting, trying to jump up on them. I did get a small video clip that was sent to me from, I believe, the landlord's wife, which showed the dog barking as soon as someone was coming down the stairs. and then the person went back up the stairs. So the dog was there. It was there on the, well, originally the dog wasn't there on the 26th of January. And then on the 29th of January, the dog was there. On the 30th, ACO Benson showed up there, and he could definitely hear 2 dogs barking. Later that evening, that's when I received the video from the landlord's wife. I just included in my report just 2 photos, photo of what ACO Benson took, and then a screenshot of what the video was. And it's been basically 48 days from December 13th. So.
If you got some anything to share?
No, nothing else to add.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll note that that wasn't included in my package.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Good evening,
Hello, how are you?
folks. I'm Jessica Kane. Very nice to see you all again. I did not speak with you last time. It was my partner. I will not yammer on and on like him. I am not quite the talker. However, a quick tidbit that came into my mind over the last dog case, something that I wasn't quite prepared. It's very alarming to me that 3 dogs who attacked and killed another dog, the recommendation is for them to be leashed and chained while outside, whereas my dog who bit and then immediately retreated, a woman who kicked my other dog, is recommended to be seized and euthanized. That is quite alarming.
Well, we haven't made a decision.
I know, but that's the recommendation of the police. I'm not talking about you guys, I'm talking about the police department. My quarrel is not with you. First, I received the 30-day removal notice on December 22nd, leading me to believe that the removal date was January 21st. I was already looking for a new apartment. However, I was looking for a place somewhat close to this area due to my job and medication that I am on, medical needs. However, after receiving the notice, I abandoned all prospect of staying in the area between the harassment by the police, my neighbors, a actual stalker that I had to get a restraining order against who continues to do that, but the police are more worried about my dog. Because I am someone of somewhat modest means, and I have been working a ridiculous amount in order to be able to move, it did take me a little past the 30-day notice to remove Benson from the premises. While he was there, he was never more than 5 feet away from me. He was on a leash with me outside or holding the leash at all times anytime he used the restroom. We were completely upfront and honest with the police when he was there. You can review the statement. You will see that my partner told the police when he was spoke to them one time that Benson was there because we were not able to get him out yet. But we did the best we can. In relation to the video, Bill, essentially, the neighbor who took the video, who gave to Darlene to send to the police, had been sneaking out on the porch to keep an eye on me, and he alarmed Benson while he was using the restroom, so he began barking. He's not, a crazy dog. He gets a little scared. He gets a little barky. I don't have much more to throw at you guys. It's just really...
Can you clarify that Benson is gone?
Yes, he's gone.
And if you don't mind me asking what...
I'm here because it's kind of ridiculous to me that in order to seize and euthanize my dog would be out there when I'm moving and relocating anyways, that I would have to feel the need to avoid St. Albans and just feel such an awful, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but as a whole, my feelings towards the state of Vermont and authority in general has changed. I've never had a great trust for them. However, I put some faith at times. I don't think I'm being ridiculous here. I spent a lot of time thinking about this. I understand that my dog is a rescue and he's gotten nervous. I've been working on training with him. Been working on a lot of things. He's getting better. However, this is disrespectful. It's just cruel and inhumane. So.
You don't mind me asking where did he relocate to?
He's in southern Vermont at my boyfriend's parents' house, my partner's parents' house, and they already have 2 dogs and 2 cats. However, because he was hit by a vehicle a few months ago, and he hasn't been able to work since then because of physical limitations, while he recovers, he's had to push himself. I've had to push myself to make this work because for whatever reason, there is this situation continuing.
Okay.
I was told by you folks that, and in the notice that there may be further fines. I figured, I need a week or so to get him out. I did what I could do. I got him out. But then to receive the order to season euthanize him really took me off guard and made it so I have to be here this evening.
So once again, we'll be discussing that, and I speak for myself.
And I'd like to also point out that I was given notice for this hearing on Friday or Saturday. Why I wasn't given a phone call to leave a message, anything like that. Last time I came, I was 4 minutes late. I was here at 6:33, 6:34. I was told my case was already gone over. I don't understand after sitting through this meeting how that happened.
I would say that we did give you a chance.
Not your fault, not your fault. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm just saying that I think there are certain things being put into play here to make sure that it is very hard for me to succeed in this situation when I'm just a good, honest person who grew up with a family who would throw away dogs like possessions, and I refuse to be that kind of person. So I don't know why I should be punished for that.
So again, Benson's not at your residence here.
No, he's not.
Thank you for the removal. Okay, well, once again, we will discuss it and you will be notified.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to recess to go into liquor control.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Curry, how are you this evening?
Good, how are you all? Just a brief little bit for liquor control. I put in the packets just informational notification.
Thank
I'm
you.
so sorry.
Excuse us, sorry. Thank you. Shannon, thank you for coming in. Curry, go ahead, the floor is yours.
Sure. So we have 2 third-class restaurant licenses that were submitted for Shooter Saloon and Twigs. Just for informational purposes, we normally, for the city, send out first and second-class liquor licenses. These were just informative for you. Regarding the minutes for the previous meeting, that I have to apologize for that. They were actually approved as part of the last minutes for council. I did not actually create a separate agenda for the small violations, so I apologize for that. But what I wanted to propose is a blanket approval request. So the liquor license renewal applications have gone out. And in anticipation of gathering, a couple dozen establishments, applications with many signatures as usual, bigger cities that have a kind of condensed population of establishments, restaurants, and bars like Stowe or Berry City, they have provided or created a request from the Liquor Control Board or Department of Liquor to be able to put just a sticker on each application. So if you approved this letter that was in your packet, that would mean that I could put a sticker on every single application citing the warned meeting that these establishments were approved of, and I can just create just a list of all the establishments rather than hand out all the packets with the sign here stickers on them. So the clerk in Barry has kind of talked to me about it. She does it every year. Their city council seems to enjoy it. It's a lot less signatures, a lot quicker to leave on those evenings.
So we would still approve them like we normally do, but we wouldn't have to sign them.
Exactly. So I
Ken,
would.
why didn't you think of this before?
Buried it.
So yeah, I would create a list for everybody, and then it would include which license that they would be applying for, the first and second or both. And then if there were any kind of special circumstances for anyone, that would be voted on differently, and we would just put that aside. So basically, I would just create some labels on each form. I would do my signature section, and it would be done.
So you're looking for a vote on that, or just conceptual approval, or what?
Yeah, so if you would approve this protocol or procedure for this, I would send in this letter to the director of the Vermont Department of Liquor Control, Skylar Jonas, tomorrow.
So I move that we approve the blanket approval request letter that Curry has in our packet.
Second.
Dave?
Seconded by Kate. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. My only question I had on the two renewals is, did I miss the chow piece for Twigs? Is that old?
No, so they do business as Chow, I guess. So there's different, their LLC name, but theirs seems to be reversed on their application. I don't know why.
It was
Yeah.
It's not Chow Bella, yeah.
That, I think, was their kind of original corporation name, so,
All right.
yeah.
You did buy it as chow and changed it to Twigs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on the application, perhaps there must have been something that has remained, so.
Okay.
So you're still keeping track of violations?
Yes.
And we're gonna get those as they come in anyway.
Yes, and so in order to, assist with the approval, so when we get that big mass back, all the 2018 violations have been added onto that, so we'll definitely have that as well. And fire inspections have been going on as well.
We also have a discussion about trying to get everyone on the same renewal date.
Yeah,
How do we
we can
have-
probably do that now, if we're gonna allow her to do the blanket letter.
So the same renewal date, meaning, like,
Put it at first of the year, everyone's on the same renewal. I think that was
We usually have 2 batches per year, 2 or 3.
oh, okay.
So we wonder if we can get them all in one.
March and
I think we talked about that maybe a few meetings ago.
Okay. Yeah, we could do that. I'm only familiar with the big one on April 4th, or April 1st, that they're due, and then the new 2019 renewals start on May 1st. So, yeah, definitely open to kind of working on that as well.
You can just take a look at that and see how we might.
Sure, absolutely.
point.
Yeah, I'm all about streamlining this process. Make it easy.
Anything else you needed from us, Curry?
Nope, that'll be great. I'll send in that letter tomorrow, and I'll stamp it and
Any
send it
questions
around.
for Curry while we have her?
I do have a question, but not under liquor control.
We will recess out of liquor control and
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous liquor control board meeting.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes approved.
Motion move out.
Second?
James beat Chad, so second by Jim. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So moved. So
Dog licenses.
Sure.
So they are due on when? April 1st?
April 1st.
Any hopes of streamlining that process?
Yeah, so letters are going to go out this week. I really want it to be able so people can kind of call up and pay over the phone. So when I put together the letter, I hope to have some smaller additions. I don't think it's going to be a dramatic change this year, but I'm definitely working on that. And then online payments, we are capable of doing it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go 100% with that. Basically, allowing people to kind of call up like they would, pay for a tax or a utility bill. If they want to scan over any kind of new updated information to me, make that more available. But as far as any major improvements, not too many. So, but I understand how difficult it can be for people to get to the office and register a dog. So, I really want to work with people like that if they want to just call and say, hey, I can't do it. And then just try to have more reminders and a few rounds of calling folks.
Okay, I know it's definitely hard for me, so I gotta take a couple hours off from work to do it, just because I leave at 6:15 in the morning and I come home at 4:30, so.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I've definitely had
difficult.
some folks email me, they'll even take a picture with their phone just to kind of keep it moving, make sure I know all their information is up to date so I can just get them in the system. The dog tags that we have from the company are set up in packaging that was meant to be mailed out. So, it's easy for postage as well.
Okay.
So, but I will definitely keep everyone up to date and try to do my best to make sure everyone in the community knows how important it is to register their dogs.
It was one of my New Year's resolutions not to have the PD call me to tell me that I have to register my dog this year.
Great. We'll make sure that doesn't happen.
I would suggest we make that change, the Chad Spooner amendment.
Absolutely. We can work with that.
Spooner.
I am going to send my son up because he has Fridays off.
I just want to touch base. You have your assistant. Not that you want to reveal too much, but everything's going well. And
Sure. Yeah, Sarah Gabri came on a couple weeks ago. She wasn't able to be here tonight, but the next meeting she can attend. I'll be sure to introduce you to her. She's picking up everything really well. I think her customer service is wonderful, so it's really refreshing to have somebody able to just dive right in with a lot of initiative, and looking forward to having one election this year so I can really fine-tune a lot of the other processes, well, maybe just one election, but you know, it's really been a great experience having somebody else there who's enthusiastic about not only that office, but you know, just local government and the community.
And Sarah came over from where?
So she worked for UVM for a number of years.
Probably just jinxed us. I know
Yeah,
no
I
one's
was
running
thinking
against Tim
that.
or Jim, but there's a couple budgets in there too.
Any other questions for Curry? All right. Thank you, Curry, for coming in.
Thank you, Counselor.
We'll move on to Dominic regarding city manager report.
Thank you. A couple of things I just wanted to touch base on. We're nearing the final phase of our curb and sidewalk construction schedule. If you recall, we had a bond issue of $4.9 million. Got about 1.4 left. That's about as much as we can push out in one particular year. We began identifying that we were likely to have a shortfall towards the end of this project due to the way the bids came in and some of the things that we needed to do to produce a quality product, and that has happened. So we think there's about another 900 or 1,000 that we would not be able to get to in this construction season. We've worked with Cross Consulting, who's been assisting us throughout this project, from the estimates all the way through project management, to help identify some priorities for the remaining funding. Ultimately, in order to complete the balance of it, I think we would need to consider issuing a much smaller bond, 900 or so to bang it out. That's depending on the grand list, around 30,000 or so a year to service that. What we're proposing in this memo is that we go ahead with these priorities for 2019, and we consider banging out the balance of the work with a final bond issue that we would consider in the context of the FY21 budget. Marty, anything to add? Anything close to that?
No, we've I think accomplished a lot so far. Peter Cross pulled back last year on his oversight. That saved us some money, and he's worked on the overall project, and this year made the recommendations based on logistics and trying to get as much as we could with the funds we had left on that eastern section. So that's what that proposal reflects.
Question?
I think there was a mistake here. I think that number 2 on Brainerd Street should actually be number 1 up here on, where it says Bank Street. Bank Street should be down below the other Bank Street, so that 2 Bank Streets are together on the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
I was, so we'll make that amendment.
We can finalize.
Let me consider the Hawkins amendment.
Construction season closes.
So I have a question, because it looks, what's going to happen is we're going to do curbs on some streets, and then on some streets where, because we said people voted to do their sidewalks and the curbs, yet on some streets that same people voted to do sidewalks and curbs, we're not gonna do any. So how much money are we saving by not doing just the sidewalks and then doing another bond and coming back and doing the curbs in a couple of years, even though it might be on the same street?
When the voters weighed in, the proposal that was put to the voters and the map that they weighed in on was curb and sidewalk.
And so it looks like Bank Street, some of Brainerd, some of Ferris, and Rugg, they're not going to get any. So at least not this year.
In 19.
In 19. So
Bank Street has new sidewalks on the south.
some of it, yes.
Right, side.
I didn't say all of it.
That
Some
we
of it.
did.
And they're in for the north walking curb only.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is why are we going to do some curbs and not do their sidewalk? Because now everyone in the city is going to have new sidewalks and curbs, but a few little sections of the city. So what I'm thinking is a lot of people aren't going to be very supportive of 4 little sections. Why am I going to vote yes on a sidewalk curb when I got brand new sidewalks and curb in front of my house?
Well, we did the west side first. Oh, you mean in general?
Hey, we only spent like 300, I'm on a whole ward.
I think what matters is the financial arrangements, not the specific work details. Peter and Marty came up with this list, and they worked to figure out how to most cost effectively use the 1.4. There's different ways to carve it up. They looked at it from a construction perspective, not a political perspective. So, it's possible that we could take an approach that says we could ask them to, redo it and look through a lens of doing everything on a street. And that's what you're saying, right? Do all a bank instead of doing a little bit of bank?
No, what I'm saying is do all the sidewalks and not worry about the curbs. But I do know that that's going to cost more money.
That costs more money.
You're taking up the green belt twice, and
it has a bigger impact. It's really inefficient.
Yeah, I understand it's really inefficient, but what I'm afraid of is we can't pass another bond to get that last little bit. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. It's a good question. My take for what it's worth is, knock on wood, I think the voters have bought into the vision of restoring the infrastructure in the city. And these, the sidewalk bonds have been overwhelmingly supported. And I think this is the one that passed by 90%.
Oh, I totally agree. But the thing is, you're going to have 95% of the city done.
Yeah, but I think what people support is they bought into the vision of it. I don't think people are looking at just their own street, their own driveway. I could be wrong, but I think they've supported the program.
Then we'll budget for it.
It's got to be done. I want it done. I just want to make sure that we can get it done.
I feel really confident we can get it done. I mean, given we crammed. Look at what we crammed into the budget this year for the public safety facility.
Yeah, and there's a couple things not on this list that I would like to see done. The curb in front of Tim's house.
That's on here.
That's on here.
Yeah, we haven't decided.
Is that on the very bottom down there?
It's on here.
It's not on here.
Isn't it?
No.
I don't see it.
No. This is Messenger of Prospect.
Where
I messenger to Maine.
So that needs to be done.
Those curbing.
That wouldn't take.
So I would just like to speak to that. I think people recognize the quality that's gone on throughout the other neighborhoods and would support finishing the project as a whole. There's, like Ferris Street, the residents on the north side from Lincoln to that sidewalk goes about halfway up, just to the base of the hill, have talked about eliminating that sidewalk entirely and eliminating the narrow green belt on the south side to widen that street. So those streets have a little more construction involved in them as well. That's a project maybe that we could do. We could probably take that old sidewalk out and save some money by doing some of that stuff, some of that work. So
Okay.
But I think overall, there's support for what's been done.
Well, I definitely want to add the curb on 10th Street because that looks like crap, and some kind of discussion eventually about the sidewalk on Church Street. So that's going to need to be redone sometime, probably in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's also not on our list because it's not residential.
Right. I've had 2 conversations with different churches up there looking.
They want to, they want to upgrade the front of their building, and they're not going to do it until we're doing the sidewalk. That way, it's all the continuity's there.
And the Federal Street sidewalk will be done when that project is started? Okay.
Yeah.
Tim, did you want to endorse any of Chad's wants?
No, they were fine with it, fine with me.
All right, just want to double check. Didn't know if there's a deal going on.
No. Just to let you know, he's been appointed to the Finance Committee as well. Vice Chair.
You better come down and pick me up because I'm not coming voluntarily.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Dom.
You're welcome. Congressman, demo. We've got bids in. We've selected a vendor for that demolition. We're working through the permitting process with the regulatory agencies. Primarily, it's the state historic preservation officer. They're concerned about getting the design right on the Champlain Housing Trust building, as that impacts the 12 Congress, the red building. I think we're really close on that, so we're probably 60 days or so out from pressing the go button on the demolition. Update on the trash ordinance.
Can we just go back to the Congress meeting just for
Sure.
quick? Are we going to recycle as much stuff as possible, or are we just going to try to get rid of it as cheaply?
I haven't looked. I can review them and see if that. Is there something particularly you're interested in?
No, I'm just wondering. I know when I think it was Fonda's, we tried to recycle as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean those buildings. We'll look at it, and we always offer resource and folks who are reusing building materials the chance
to go in. Okay.
It's pretty rugged in there.
Yeah.
They've sat fallow for a while. But
I don't know if there's an option. Sometimes you can recycle brick. I just don't know if that's possible.
So that was part of the RFP. This contractor's aware of that. We're going to salvage. It's a fairly new furnace in 10 Congress. There's a condition in that contract that we're going to take that furnace out of there before demolition starts. So.
Okay.
Cool.
Is that demolition going to impact traffic?
Probably.
Yeah.
Parking for sure.
They'll put their containers on the front to get the front portion down, and then as they go back, they'll stage it back on the property. But there may be some impact to, and they'll have traffic control.
It'll be temporary.
I mean, the actual demo itself is pretty quick.
Yeah, it shouldn't take long.
It's more the sidewalk track.
Yeah,
but
just
less
the parking lot.
disruptive than when we paved Main Street last year.
2 months from now is going to put us right in Maple Festival territory, isn't it?
Well, that's what I was just trying to think.
Well, we won't do it during the
Yeah, they're aware of that.
Okay.
And I just want to clarify, I saw on the weekly report that we had 3 more people move out of Maiden Lane. So how many tenants are there? I don't think I saw a total.
We're under 10, I think, now. If they haven't moved out, they've given notices and stuff. I had a couple more today that I had to fill out references for. So we've moved 1 into 12 Congress. We've got another unit available in 12 Congress that we've shown to 2. I have another one interested in looking at that.
So the relocation piece may be minimal.
Oh, it's not minimal. It's going to cost $300,000 total.
No, minimal in the sense of we're not dealing with 20 or 25. We're dealing with 10 or less potentially.
I think we're about halfway there. It's been a little bit harder than anticipated, but.
These aren't some of the relocation. These are separate from the relocation, right?
The ones that Marty's talking. I mean, you're talking about folks that are in the Maiden Lane apartments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, we're about halfway there. We're just under 10. We got 8 or 9 to go.
But what I'm saying is the ones that just chose to relocate, are they part of the relocation process?
Or they go on?
Or are they on they did it on their own?
Nobody's on their own. Everybody, you know.
Oh, okay.
That's worked through CHT to.
Okay, I was confused about that, okay.
I mean, we're in the middle of it because we own the building they're in, we own the building some of them are moving into, and CHT is our partner and contractor in facilitating it and all the paperwork.
And they're not necessarily moving into other CHT properties. They're moving into other properties that were available, but they're being assisted by CHT.
But when does our clock start, the 1-year clock?
Well, we're not going to make the 1-year clock. They're all receiving payments for 4 years of impact on their rents. So they're getting some big checks, 10 grand. So which is all being paid for by the federal funds that are coming to CHT to do the work, and that's why we're delayed, because since those funds are coming into the project, the State Historic Preservation Officer took jurisdiction of the whole site, not just their parcel, and that's what we're trying to resolve. And all of that is about siding on the building. So, we're getting there.
Update on trash?
We had a good meeting, Marty and I and the trash haulers, a couple months ago now. We just haven't made it back to the drafting board yet. There seemed to be consensus around the following idea, that the city would create a sticker and the hauler would put those stickers on their bins, and they would say, we're XYZ hauler, and we designate that our pickup day here is Tuesdays. And that would allow us to deal with the issue of when the trash comes in. But it gets us around the issue of feelings that the city is messing in the trash hauling marketplace and influencing who people can use for a hauler, and concentrating all the pickups on a certain day, making the impact greater. It allows us to manage the length of time that the bins are out on the street, but basically just gets it organized. What do you think of that?
So it'll be the day of pickup, which in the ordinance we had allowed 24 hours to put those bins back.
Yeah.
So that gives you that starting point.
Yeah. Yeah. So the haulers can pick their days, just like they do now.
But they would each pick one day.
They can pick whatever day they want. It's the same program that exists now.
It's just
they
that,
just mark their bins.
Yeah, so if it's Thursday and the sticker says Tuesday, you know somebody's violated the ordinance.
The difference is, well, the bins won't stop by the roadside, by the way.
We can address, yeah, we have the ability to address that.
Within that ordinance, do we have distance of the dumpster or trash bins from the road?
When they're waiting to be picked up, or
just
after
they're put away.
When we say away from the curb, do they just bring them onto their side of the sidewalk and then that's good enough? Or?
There's provisions in there for storage of them, you mean? I haven't looked at it in a while. Marty, do you recall?
Before it said it had to be in a fenced-in area.
Yeah.
I don't know if it speaks to it specifically.
I guess my concern is more about a dumpster than it is a trash tote. A dumpster, I use Rubley Street, for example. The neighbor has a dumpster, 10 feet from the sidewalk, 15 feet from the sidewalk, which, as a neighbor, isn't,
Is it still there?
The dumpster's still in front of the house.
He moved it out back.
Moved out back, but it was short-lived.
And I think what happens there is the hauler brings it back and drops it because it's easier for him just to pick it up there instead of driving in, emptying it and backing all the way out his driveway again. I'll have to talk to Richard, but I think that was the issue that he was challenged with.
Are we talking about time too?
We've got provisions in there. We can look at it as it comes back. And, the time.
I've seen it in other apartment houses too, right up front, near the sidewalk.
Yeah, it looks terrible when it happens. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about, is there any discussion about what time they can pick up?
There was some discussion about that. It wasn't a big focus of it. The main focus of the haulers anyway was, don't tell us what day we need to be here.
Because usually I don't get a lot of complaints about the bins. I get complaints about the time of the pickup.
Yeah, I mean, I think we addressed that in
Didn't we say 7 o'clock at the...
That's our noise ordinance.
Yeah,
And we also discussed backing up, like Berkeley Terrace was a street they would back up in the back up.
Whole street,
So that's just a, upcoming feature. Finally, we got a budget hearing. This says 226, it's 225, which is the Monday.
225, not 226.
Correct. Staff, just like in past years, will prepare a short presentation. Public can offer comments.
And the full meeting is specific to the budget only.
Yeah, it's usually pretty short unless we choose to try to accomplish some other business then. We haven't always had a quorum. It's nice if we can have a quorum.
Yeah, I won't be here.
What time is that?
Kristen, is it 6:30 in the morning?
School vacation. Can't you go anywhere for school vacation?
Now that there's a budget, here I am.
Yeah, so there's the House Appropriations Committee is hosting one of their regional budget for the state budget for fiscal 2020 at City School from 6 to 7 on that night.
I thought you were on transportation.
I'm just telling you what my colleagues have decided to do. But I will be attending because there's one in our community. But so we'll be fighting over.
Do we want to are we good? Do you expect to be around, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
Marie?
Yeah, should be.
Tim? Around 4.
How long are we anticipating this budget meeting to last?
They're usually pretty quick. It depends on who shows up and what the questions are.
Hour to an hour?
No, why don't we,
What time is
just so that Mike could be there, why don't we say 7 instead of 6:30?
It's already in the book that's gone out.
Never mind.
We may be gone by 7 o'clock.
Okay. Anything else, Don?
That's it.
I'd like to go to number 11. Tom, if you want to come up and talk about the municipal bond bank. While Tom's getting set, I'd just like to point out that we're 3 minutes over the estimated time of Tom's presentation, and that's mainly due to my family members. And I apologize.
I'm going to encourage her to run for mayor next time. If you want to get Stearns and Duffy.
I think she speaks better than you do.
She talks a little faster than me.
Well, you told me to hurry.
Tom, that's all you
I can make up for it.
All right, thanks.
What's in front of you is boilerplate financing documents that you've seen a number of times before, necessary to execute the latest round of financing. It's already been approved by the Vermont Municipal Bond Bank a couple weeks ago. So it's for the final, not the final, but the third phase of neighborhood sidewalks, and then a TIP project across the street. Any questions, I can answer them. But I'm looking for council authorization for the mayor and the city treasurer to sign the documents.
Any questions for Tom?
Move to approve the documents necessary to execute the sale of the 2019 Series 1 bonds to finance Phase 3 of the neighborhood sidewalk project and the Congress and Main TIF project.
Second.
Second by Michael.
That was a mouthful.
Any questions now for Tom?
Just kind of in the future, do you see interest rate increases maybe changing the strategy around when these are issued in the future, or things kind of?
So interest rates ticked up a little bit earlier later last year. But since the stock market's seen some turmoil, bond markets are a safe haven. So there's that inverse correlation there. So we're still at this. We're still in the midst of this extraordinarily long run of historically low rates. So that you couldn't have timed the city's need to borrow for the TIF and other projects better. I don't know if it's some combination of lucky and good. I like to think more good than lucky. But if all this was done just 15 years ago, we'd be doing it all at 4.5% to 5% versus the 3% we are, and it would be a huge difference on the city's budget. So we're really fortunate. Any other questions?
Do we know the rate on these yet?
We don't know the rate on these. We will in a week or two. But we'll freeze. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Seconded by Michael. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. I'll get him when he's done.
Motion to approve meeting minutes 1/14/19.
Second.
Motion seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes.
Motion to approve warrants 1/18/19.
Second.
Seconded by Chad. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve warrants 1/25/19.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? None. Motion passes.
Motion to approve warrants 2/1/19.
Second.
Second by Chad. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Motion to approve
opposition?
warrants 2/8/19.
Second.
Second by Chad. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Copy and paste this week, Kristen. Happy birthday.
So we're moving on. We'll start with mayor's report. I, like Chad, have a list of things. So the first, I'd like to read a proclamation recognizing 11 years of quality reporting by Michelle Monroe. Whereas the St. Albans Messenger provides an unparalleled contribution to civic engagement in Greater St. Albans, and whereas reporter Michelle Monroe has aptly and accurately covered the dramatic revitalization of St. Albans City over the last 6 years, and whereas Michelle has offered a shining example of how local reporters can form positive relationships with the local governments they cover, and whereas Michelle will build on her 11 years with the Messenger by stepping into a new role as executive editor of the St. Albans Messenger, where she will also oversee the weekly newspapers. And whereas the St. Albans City Council is grateful for the Messenger's assistance reaching our voters and looks forward to continued strong relationships with future reporters. Now, therefore, I, Tim Smith, Mayor of St. Albans City, do hereby congratulate and express appreciation to Michelle Monroe on behalf of the Council and the Michelle Monroe and the St. Albans Messenger for their quality reporting of life in St. Albans, and further, do hereby pledge to do our part to keep life interesting and dramatic enough to warrant a local newspaper.
I love that part of it.
Given under my hand and the seal of the City of St. Albans on this 11th day, February 20th, February 2019. So Michelle, I can share that
Speech, speech.
So Kristen will put a seal on that, and then we will forward that to you.
Thank you
And,
very much.
Thank you for all of your efforts, and wish you luck in your new endeavor.
Yeah, I just didn't think I could oversee 4 newspapers and still cover the city beat, so.
I don't see your smiling face here anymore.
On occasion.
Okay.
Just
We can just send in our own articles.
Yeah.
So a couple things I want to touch on. Blood draw on Thursday. If anyone hasn't signed up, feel free to sign up to give blood. That's something that we do to support instead of the Amazon or Red Cross giving out Amazon gift cards. Marty solicited the businesses downtown, and we will be giving small gift cards to those who donate in support of our local merchants.
What is that on?
Thursday the 14th.
Valentine's
Day. So you can spin the wheel also and get a rose, so it could save you from.
Let's see if you could somehow get Christina to land on that for me. That'd be much appreciated.
It's only one though. There's only one rose.
That's okay.
In Good Taste was last Friday, an event that was co-sponsored by us, Healthy Roots, Franklin County Industrial, St. Albans City, Regional Planning, and one more in there I think I missed. But 350 people attended, about 140 in the first session, 210 in the second, well received, great comments on the auditorium. I also attended a father-daughter dance, which I think was one of the best yet, and probably the biggest crowd yet, from all indications. And kudos to the rec department for pulling that off as well.
Do you use plastic straws, by the way?
I do not remember. No, there was no plastic straws. Ward elections, Tim and Jim unopposed. So
put up with me for another 3 years, probably.
I would like to go out on a limb and share my endorsement of both of you.
Tim doesn't have an
Joe, now we've lost.
I'm just a dad.
There'll be huge write-ins.
Kate and I were in communication with Dom today. We're still having truck issues on Weldon Street. One resident actually sent me a photo today which had a truck coming over Lincoln Avenue from Fairfield and turning west onto Upper Weldon to go down to Main Street.
Oh my gosh.
And it was quite a tight turn. I don't know what the outcome of that was, but that individual is getting a little frustrated that there's still trucks, and he has offered a couple suggestions that we've shared with Dom as well. So we will continue to focus on trying to eliminate that. And then Chad and I received complaints of trucks on North Elm Street as well, which I've been down there and I have not seen any, so we'll continue to monitor
It
that.
seems like on South Elm, and some of the complaints on North Elm's been construction vehicles too, so I don't know where they're headed.
Where on North Elm, Chad?
So they're going over the railroad tracks.
So those, I think those trucks are going to the old mill, which is undergoing an expansion right now. I noticed it the day we were dealing with the water leak at the intersection of Pearl and North Elm. There was probably, I'll bet you 20 trailers coming in there with stone. So I think the majority of that traffic is going to the old mill.
So it's more dump truck type
That's what I saw
traffic,
that
not tractor trailer traffic.
It's tractor trailers she's seen, but it's usually what it is some kind of the ones I've seen on South Elm's construction equipment on a trailer. So it's it's a big excavator or something, but that's probably where they're headed. Yeah.
I haven't noticed anything, in our area.
Well, that's the thing is that they're
Yeah.
banging the turn.
We'll follow up on the railroad issues as well, and I think when we have those discussions, the Aldous Hill crossing and Lower Weldon, right? Just to update others, the report that was requested by Pomelo regarding the parking lot in the shopping center is close to being done. This was something that was initiated after the passing of Nancy Willett, and there's a number of recommendations that will be coming out of that for the parking lot, and all indications are Mr. Pomelo will be is more than receptive to making some, if not all, of those changes. So it should resolve not all problems, but it will make the parking lot a little bit safer for pedestrians walking in it. So there'll be more to hear about that. So and the last thing I had was just something on the agenda for goals and strategies on a quarterly basis, just so we don't go a whole year to sort of follow up on that and maybe keep tabs on how we can move some of those forward. So that was about all. That's what I had.
With the DRB area?
What's that?
Dennis
Yep. So one of the issues but one of the conversations that I've had with Chip and Dom over time, and I think even with the council, is that when we interview potential board members. I think it's awkward. I know that transparency was the primary focus of it, but it just doesn't ring true to me. So we tried something new this year where I set up a meeting with, there was only one candidate for the DRB to fill the seat of Jackie Delorier. And Denny LaPointe and I sat and had about an hour discussion. I didn't pull a council member in, which I should be doing. It was just, we wanted to get it in before this meeting. So I would recommend to the council that we do appoint Denny LaPointe to the full seat. He was an alternate on the board in the past, and he is more than willing to serve in a full seat capacity.
So that'd be until 2022? 3 years?
Chip, I look to you on that.
Since we're so close to December when most terms expire, I was recommending 2021.
2021.
Now, is he fulfilling Jackie's?
That would go 1 year past Jack, or that would go a couple. It would be giving him a new term. He wouldn't just be filling out Jackie's term.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it would also balance out the board a little further, I think,
Okay.
in terms of terms expiring.
I move we appoint Mr. LaPointe to the full seat on the DRB, term expiring December 31st, 2021.
A second.
Second by Marie. Any discussion?
Not necessarily Mr. LaPointe, but I think, and I agree with you that I don't think we want an interview, but what I would like to see, we did get the applications and their reason that they wanted to be on the board. I'd still like to see that. If we're going to make this approval, I'd at least like to know something about them. So I think if we can include those in the package, so it makes sense.
We have appointed him before, so he's not something new.
I understand.
And he did make that comment to me that he was here and was interviewed by all of you. I was probably the outstanding person that did not. We had a great conversation, and he had some good suggestions. One being, when we do the interview, that another council member be present. So, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
No opposition. Motion passes. I think that's all I had. So we'll go start with you, Tim.
2 words. Lemna Drive.
It's not rough. Come on now.
We gotta do something on that street.
Go down Lower Walden recently?
Marty, you've been filling holes on Limelight Drive,
We have indeed.
and it's not.
I think this year we coplated it and paved it.
Oh, yeah, great.
2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, we just skim coated it. Put about an inch layer down just to get us through, and it's obvious it's got a ton of traffic.
Yeah.
Between regular vehicular and tractor trailer. It's a shortcut.
Okay, that's all I got.
I think Lower Walden is same. It's good. That's where the traffic's going. They're going down. So Lower Walden's bad. Actually, South Elm's actually taking a beating this year too. So it's like that whole little bit.
Dom, you'll.
Yeah, when are we going to have paving recommendations? It should be soon, right? March?
It'll be March, probably.
Okay.
I'm not Lower Walden and
Southbound. Southbound might be able to be patched here and there, so just look at it. It's hard to tell because it's all underwater.
Typically just trying to follow in the last couple of years, follow the sidewalk curb project. So like Bishop last year was torn up for curbs. We go back in there and coplane that and follow those streets.
Looks nice.
Before we move on, you're done, Tim? Before we move on to Michael, I just want to thank Marty and the Public Works crew for their efforts on the water breaks, and I don't think the general public understands I think they should, based on what most people's driveways look like, but the conditions that we've had with the snow, freezing rain, ice, all that, I think the crew has worked hard and continue to do it.
Thank you. The biggest challenge, you probably saw the water break in Montpelier.
Yep.
And read about that. They were saying that leak was 5,000 gallons a minute. We had one out on Route 7 North that was 6,800 gallons a minute.
Wow.
Our crew is second to none. They did a line repair on White Street that they couldn't get the valve shut off on it and did it live under pressure in 11-degree temps and got soaking wet at 4 o'clock in the morning. I would like to thank you for bringing the pizza on that break, and Greg Christie showed up at 4 o'clock in the morning with hot chocolate from Dunkin' Donuts. So,
How many pieces did Tim eat?
You know, I'm going to tell you, it crossed my, I was going to take one. Just to
there was,
sample it, but
I
held
think
back.
the third box down had 2 slices of biscuit.
Listen, yeah.
And we weren't
I
sure
came
where
very
it went.
close.
But no, those guys have stepped up. They've done a phenomenal job. Walter Kane is their superintendent. They have full confidence in him. He's a great leader, and we've got a good team down there. I'm hoping to build upon it. So I will pass it along your sentiments.
So we'll count the days of getting out of the...
Every day is one day closer.
Yeah, out of winter. So. Michael?
As you said, I was appointed to the House Transportation Committee. Representative Toof is on House Education. Very interesting things going on in the legislature, and I'm happy to talk to anybody about that. I also wanted to thank Marty and the Public Works crew for just keeping the roads and the sidewalks safe. I know under the ice conditions that have been, I'm just amazed, and it's miraculous that we're able to get around the way that we do in the city, and I'm really appreciative of that. I think a lot of people also take that for granted. I did notice that one of the less traveled roads in my ward, Stevens, is really taking a beating with the crazy ice, and I don't know what we can do, and it doesn't get the kind of heavy traffic, but it is really beat up now. So
the melt has helped, but we try to go in and hit those like Sawyer. Some of those hit them heavy with salt, and then the night crew will go in and scrape with the backhoe. The challenge in that hill section, as you know, on Congress, there's a spring that is there that is making a mess of Congress and Prospect. There's a couple on North Main that have popped up that make a mess down there. And again, just try to stay on top of them and get in there at nighttime to clean them up and stuff. So,
Marty, can you share quickly that I was asked a lot of times why we don't put sand down on the sidewalks like they used to be. Can you touch on that a little bit, or maybe even Chip, regarding the MS4?
It's one of the biggest challenges is the mess it makes. I mean, we do in some cases when the weather gets so cold that the salt won't work, but we try to limit it because we end up having to go back through and clean out our catch basins and everything out, and it adds to the pollution to the lake and phosphorus and everything else. So we try to limit our.
So I think that's a message we need to get out, because a lot of people, we sanded years ago, decades ago, and times have changed. So
It's a lot cheaper than salt, no doubt. But
I mean, obviously, I didn't hear anything about that until this ice storm we had, and then everybody's saying, "Oh, how come the sidewalks are so icy?" But I mean, but other than that, I haven't heard any complaints about it at all.
that was mostly because our sidewalk plows couldn't make it up the sidewalks. Like they couldn't get up Congress, they couldn't get up Bank because it was so icy. So they went out by hand and spread on a lot of those streets.
Wow, with the trucks, yeah.
Just got a little run slid down and
Go up
there
the
we
road.
go.
Shake it on the way down.
Michael, anything else? Good. Kate?
Oh, one very minor thing. I think we talked at one point about the sign on Fairfield Street as you come down to the light. Because it's no right on red there, I believe, but the sign is not there.
I saw 3 cars go through there the other day when I was behind them.
I'm right? It's not. It's a no right on red.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not back.
It's not, Chad. You said that last time, so I was like, oh, Chad must be right.
Because they used to have one up top and they had one back.
I checked all those signs.
I was looking the day I saw those 3 cars. And what happens is if they all do right on red, it backs up.
It messes up that whole
It messes up the intersection.
Well, we also have to put the no blocking intersection sign, because we patched it out finally, but cars still in that ends up backing up.
So I don't think a lot of people understand what that means.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
Right. They have the sign, but the sign is over in front of Handy Toyota. So that lane doesn't see the sign.
Yeah.
So we've got to get them up on the banner.
Okay, anything else?
That's it.
Jim?
You may not want me right now. One quick thing, and I share everybody's feeling about how hard Marty and the crew have been working, but Marty and I had some discussions back after the water break on White Street, when the contractor, whoever that is, that was doing the paving at the top of the street, it wasn't our guys, it was somebody else, basically blocked off the whole bottom of the street. And my discussion with them was, well, if you want to get to your house, you just get out of your car, move a cone, drive up, get back out, put it back in place. That's not acceptable for people that live on a street. There's usually at least maybe a sign that says road closed or whatever, but there's some passage there somebody can get through to get to their house. It's not our crew, and I wasn't blaming Marty and our crew for it. I was blaming the contractor, and if that's their policy, I think we need to have that changed. That's my feeling.
Anything else yet? You good?
That's it.
Marie?
The only thing I have is that I had the pleasure of touring Martha's Kitchen this past week. They had a blessing of the kitchen on Monday night, a week ago, and absolutely beautiful. They've done a great job there. And they're serving a lot of meals, and it's clean, tastefully decorated, and real asset.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I would say the one thing I didn't realize is they do set time aside for seniors at a certain time, so seniors can go in at 11 o'clock, I think, during the day before they open up to the general public. So.
I call.
Okay, I guess that's it.
Motion adjourned.
Second on that. On the list.
I just want to thank Marty. The only thing I have is I want to thank Marty. I think it was a Saturday or Sunday. I sent you a text message. I can't remember about the crosswalk button. Was someone had ripped it down or something had happened in Bolton. It was just hanging there by the wires. And half hour later,
Where is this?
At top of. It was in the park to go down Lake Street. It was just dangling there by the 3 wires, and Marty fixed it within, I think it was like a half hour. He texted me back, said it was all set. So, thank you.
We should deal with dogs before we adjourn, right?
Yes.
That's all you got?
Have to go
That's all I got.
into session on that, or?
And we delivered a session with a motion to go upstairs.
Motion to move into deliberative session to discuss the dog protocol, not dog protocol, but the dog complaint.
Second, signatures.